My best friend died, and I found out she might have had an affair with my husband. The child she left behind might be his. What do I do? Hi Reddit, I'm 32 years old, and I'm writing because I need advice and perspective on what's happened in the last few months. I'm completely devastated, confused, and don't know where to turn. I'll try to give you a bit of context first. I have been married to my husband, Mark, for 8 years. We have a stable relationship, or at least I thought so. He's a good man, and I've always trusted him completely. I've also had a best friend, Alice, for over 10 years, and that she was more than a friend. She was like a sister to me. We were incredibly close, and I thought I knew everything about her life. And her Alice had a 2-year-old daughter, and her life was a mess for a while. She had been through a lot, including a difficult breakup, and Anne was struggling with things like work, dating, and raising her child. Over the years, she and I became somewhat like co-parents for her daughter, especially when Alice was having a rough time. A few months ago, Alice passed away from cancer. It was heartbreaking, and I was there for her throughout the whole process. After her death, her mother, and Alexis, came to me and said something that left me absolutely stunned. The and Alexis claimed that Alice had told her that Mark was the father of her daughter, not her ex. I was in shock. And I have Mark, and I have always had a strong relationship, and the idea that Alice had been involved with him, let alone had a child with him, to him era seemed impossible. To make matters work, and I started recalling a particular incident years ago. An echo when Alice came to our house during a housewarming party we had. I was called into work late that night. And Mark and Alice were the only 2 people left at the party. Mark later told me that in the early morning hours, Alice had ended up in his bed on top of him, and he passed out from exhaustion before anything could happen. Ghost meme, I hadn't tell me about it at the time because he didn't think I believe him. Ahoia, but now everything seemed to make sense in a terrifying way. I was furious. I didn't want to believe that my husband could betray me. But the possibility of it made my world come crashing down. I asked for a DNA test to confirm whether or not Mark was the father. But in the meantime, I was trying to process what this meant for my marriage and my life. When the test came back, it was a relief. Thankfully, the child wasn't Mark's. But what really crushed me was what Alexis revealed afterward. And she admitted that Alice had told her she thought Mark might be the father but had never tried to reach out for support or involvement. And Alice had been living a double life, and the entire situation was a mix of manipulation and betrayal. And I mocked about Mark, and I talked for hours about everything. He's heartbroken by Alice's actions and the violation of our trust. But he never viewed it as an affair. He feels violated by Alice and struggles with processing what happened. I understand his feelings, but I'm also struggling with betrayal and trying to reconcile my emotions with the reality of what occurred. And I'm trying to move past it. I can't help but wonder if should have fought harder to protect my family from this. Should I have known earlier? I'm so confused. And we're both in therapy, and I'm working on forgiving him, but there's so much emotional damage. Did I make the right decision not to end my marriage over this? Should I have done more to uncover the truth sooner, or was this beyond my control? I feel betrayed, but part of me just wants to move on. First updating, I thank you to everyone who responded to my post. I didn't expect such a huge response, but reading all your kind words has helped me process everything a bit more. And I've been going through some emotional roller coasters these past few days, and your support has made a world of difference. Since my last post, I've had some tough conversations with Mark. It's hard to even know what to say about everything that happened. He still feels a deep sense of violation, and I can see how much this has affected him. It's not easy to rebuild trust or something like this, but we've been talking about how we can move forward. And I've also had a chance to reflect on my own feelings. I realized that this wasn't just about the affair and or lack thereof, but about how Alice manipulated everything. The whole situation feels like she took advantage of both of us. Mark had in a moment of weakness, and me by hiding this from me for so long. As for Alexis, I've had a few more talks with her. While I still feel angry about how she tried to manipulate the situation, I understand that she was grieving and wanted to believe that her daughter's child was her son-in-law's. It doesn't make it right, but I've to let go of some of my anger toward her. To address some of the comments. No, I don't think Mark was at fault in the sense that he initiated anything with Alice, and he passed out and woke up in an uncomfortable situation, and I believe him when he says nothing happened. And I also don't think he's guilty of anything other than not telling me sooner. But we've both agreed that we need to communicate more openly from here on out. He's been doing everything he can to help me through this, but it's still a long road ahead. Second updating, and it's been about a month since my last update, and I can honestly say I'm starting to heal. Mark and I have been in couples therapy, and things have gotten a lot better. We've spent more time together, focused on rebuilding our trust and in understanding the pain we've both been carrying. Mark still feels guilty about not telling me sooner, and I can see how much it's been weighing on him. We've talked about everything. About Alice, about the betrayal, and about how we can strengthen our marriage going forward. The healing isn't instant, but it's happening. And the fact that I've also made peace with the fact that Alice's manipulation wasn't just about cheating. It was about using the situation to control both of us. But I can't change what happened, but I've learned that the betrayal wasn't just from Mark, it was from Alice too. How a lot of people have asked how I'm dealing with my feelings of betrayal. Honestly, it's been a journey. I'm still processing the emotions, but I've learned that forgiveness isn't something that happens overnight. I'm working on it, and I'm finding ways to rebuild myself in the process. Mark is supportive, and I'm learning to trust him again, step by step. A final updating, it's been a few months since I last posted, and I feel like I'm in a much better place now. Mark and I have been focusing on our relationship, and we're doing great. We've had the time and space to heal, and I can honestly say that I feel stronger than I did before all of this happened. The trauma of Alice's betrayal still stings, but I've learned to move forward with my life. Mark and I have built a stronger foundation, and we're planning to expand our family in the near future. It's a new chapter, and while the past will always be a part of me, it no longer defines my future. Thank you to everyone who supported me throughout this journey. Adele, your advice helped me keep perspective and realize that no matter what, I control my happiness. I'm excited about what's next for me and my family.